G'day everybody and welcome to Basket Case. I want to have a quick chat about setting the clearances on your camshaft. This is my XS1100. We have the intake cam on the left and the exhaust cam on the right. Each of them have one valve per side, so it's a 2 valve per cylinder engine, and the cam lobe rotates. This is the cam lobe here. It rotates around, depresses the bucket below it, which pushes directly on top of the valve. Now this little guy here, this disc here, is called shim, and you need to measure the clearances to refer to your manual. On this particular bike it's between 0.16 of a millimetre and 0.2 of a millimetre for the intake, and it's 0.21 to 0.25 for the exhaust. So I've already gone ahead and done that, and I actually made up a bit of a drawing to aid me in this exercise. So we have the exhaust measurements on the left and the on the right, and the intakes on the left. So I've written down the tolerance, what the actual measurement is, and then the shims required to make up the difference. So the shims are 29 millimetre bucket shims in diameter on the XS, and they are stamped with a number on the back. Well, they are printed with a number. This one's barely visible. And what you do is you measure what you've got, you measure what it should be, and subtract the difference and find the right shim to do the job. And to replace them can be a bit tricky, but I went down to well, a friend of mine's a mechanic at Horizon Motorcycles, which is the Yamaha dealership, and he lent me the special tool that holds the bucket. There are other methods, you can search the internet for that, but I prefer this. This is actually the same as the XJ900, so there'd be some bikes that are similar. So the one I'm working on at the moment is intake number 3, which is, position my light, forget the light, which is this guy here. So I'll bolt this up and show you how we do that. Oh, what a pain in the neck that was setting that up. Alright, so what I've done is I've rotated the engine until the cam lobe is pushing down fully on the bucket. Then the special tool simply locates around the back of the camshaft and attaches on one of the tapper cover bolts, or rocker cover bolts if you're in the colonies. Yeah. The problem is that it's that finicky that you never actually know whether you've engaged it properly until you release the bucket. So I'll take my 19mm spanner and rotate the camshaft away from the tool. Nope, wrong way. And what you should be able to see, if I try and put a little bit of light on there, is the bucket actually comes away from the cam lobe. There is now a massive gap in under here. Right, these seem to be the best angles that I can get. Now I don't know how much you can see there, but there is a very small gap in the bucket that allows you to get a little dull screwdriver in underneath it and lift it. Then all I do is use a magnet to extract it. Okay, so according to my chart, I needed a 265 number, which means it's 2.65 millimeters. Drop him in, make sure he's sitting in the right position. Hopefully this won't upset the camera, but I'm going to try and rotate the lobe back down again. It's a bit awkward, but trying to hold the light, turn the spanner, and watch what I'm doing. So now this is where you've got to be careful, because if you take it too far and you actually run the cam into that tool, you can break the cylinder head into the special tool that holds the bucket. So we don't want to do that. We remove said tool. Certainly makes life easy if you've got this little beauty, because it there's lots of other methods out there of trapping the valve and doing it, but this is by far the best. Okay, so that's now gone. We can now rotate the valve. I'll go in the correct direction of rotation. I'll do a full revolution to make sure that it's seated. Which it would appear, I'm knocking everything off here, would appear it is. So now the valve is clear of the bucket now. So I'll get my feeler gauges out. The tolerance is between 0.16 of a millimetre and 0.2 of a millimetre. So I've got the upper and lower tolerances. So this is the smallest one. It should fly through, and it's good. And this is the top one, and I can't get him in there. So that is money. That's mint. So that's cool. Alright, so now I've already done two. I've done intake 2 and intake 3. I've got intake 4 and exhaust 1 to do. The rest were all intolerant. So basically you just repeat those steps on each of the valves, and you'll be home and hosed. I thought I'd follow up that short video because I don't know that I fully explained things properly. But there's a couple of things you've got to watch out for if you're doing any home mechanic with basic skills can check their valve clearances. You can buy the shims from Yamaha, and they often work on an exchange basis. So you measure what you need. You go and order the shims. Get home, change them out, and then take the old ones back. They often have second-hand ones lying around like these. They're very hard, and they're ground flat perfectly, so they don't wear terribly well. Your cam lobe's more likely to wear than these. Then they're fairly thick. They start at 2 millimeters, and I think they range up to 3 millimeters in 0.05 of a millimeter increments. So you need to work back or forward from your measurement to the right increment. It is important that you write them down. So the way that you do that on the XS1100 and most motorcycles that have inline 4-cylinder, 3-cylinder engines, cylinder number 1 is on the left-hand side of the bike. And you just work your way through. The firing order is, I think it's 1, 2, 4, 3 or something. Oh, I can't remember. You just work your way through it anyway. To aid in that, you can use the timing marks on your ignition system. So you bring it to top dead center and see where the valves are lying. If the valves on number 1 are up in the air, like so, the lobes, well then that's top dead center number 1. And if they happen to be pushing down on the cam, either one, then you're on number 4. You've got two outside pistons and 2 inside pistons. So The other thing you've got to watch out for is don't ever remove a shim and then rotate the engine on top of the bucket. There's not enough thickness in that bucket, and you'll punch the cam lobe down through the bucket in the middle of the spring, and you'll damage it. These spread the load out and take that impact and that pressure that they're placed under as they're running. So the bucket, this sits down into a little recess in the bucket, and when we put that special tool in, I'll put it away now, when we put that special tool in, it actually sits down just adjacent to the shim and holds the bucket down, slightly compressed, and allows you to pop it out. So I hope that explains it. I can't think of anything else that I might have missed. So as I said from the beginning, start with cylinder 1, get your feeler gauges, go for top of tolerance, bottom of tolerance, and see whether both of them fit for a start. If they do, try and measure what the actual gap is. So if it's meant to be 0.15 of a millimetre, and you need to measure it and try and find what it is. So if it is say 0.2 of a millimetre, it means the gap's too big, and you need to get a thicker shim by 0.05 of a millimetre, bring it back down to that 0.15. You should always try and aim for the middle of your tolerance as a best practice. So if it's say 1 millimetre to 2 millimetre, you should be aiming for 1.5. But read your manual and find out what your clearances are, and have a crack, because it's not that difficult. I used to work for an engine reconditioner and used to have to do V12 Jaguars, etc. with bucket and shim setups, and they're a real pain because you actually have to remove the camshaft to get the buckets out and the shims out. And then when you reassemble the whole thing, of course it all changes. So you'll go through that exercise half a dozen times before you get them just right. But on a motorcycle like this with the buckets on the top, very easy. So don't be frightened of it. Go and have a crack. Enjoy. I hope this helps, and tune in next time, subscribe, and we'll keep working our way through this. See you for now. Kick that out of the way. Okay, how about we just sit it down very gently.
Oh. It's resting on the block here.
Oh, is it? It's alright. What's going on with that? Oh, that's okay.
That's alright?
Yep. Short bolts, these ones.